And your muse.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
I'm starved. Bon appetit. With a film like this, it's all about the atmosphere, the texture in which the story takes place. And Todd's frames of reference are so unusual that it meant that the love could be experienced, I think, by an audience as if it was taking place for the very first time. That hopefully the audience feels as ambushed by the experience as the women themselves do.
It really talked about the universal anxiety and isolation of the experience of falling in love, locked up inside the mentality of the amorous person, and the crazy sort of overproduction of that amorous mind. I think it's about trying to find a balance between what is written and what can't ever be written, what you can only communicate visually, and where you let silence and you let music and you let an inability to communicate actually speak volumes.
Todd's very helpful in the way that he says, we're going to shoot it like this. So okay, this gesture is, I don't need to do it with here, or I don't need to do this in the wide shot because we're going to come and we're going to pick this gesture up. And then that's the moment that's going to contain the emotion. So when to hold back.
A lot of it really is Therese's reactions to things. And I mean, lucky for me, I had a pretty easy job because I just had to watch Cate and react to her.
For both of these women, they aren't exceptional people. They're not radicals, they're not bohemians, they're not heroic even. And they struggle along, balancing desire with convention and expectations of their lives. And they're also kind of locked up in their respective worlds and economic worlds. So, I think that offered a lot of compartments and spaces to describe visually and to contrast visually.
I was conscious of trying to keep things simple and really kind of do the film from the inside out and be driven by themes and what I was kind of interested in. The script was very cinematic. It definitely read like a Western, and it was very simple, and the idea of shooting it in Scotland and bringing that landscape into the film, I think kind of started to define everything.
Justin's vision was such a strong one, and he had such a good handle on it and grasp that I just really followed his lead.
He talked about those characters and what he wanted to do with the play was very beautiful, and he really wanted to understand those people.
It was really kind of just finding what felt right, but I never wanted the verse to feel as though it was the cherished thing in it all. I really wanted to kind of allow it to just organically flow within the scenes and the story.
Ambitions there, of course, but I always think that it's more Lady Macbeth sacrifices herself for her husband, and this idea that he's suffering heavily from post-traumatic stress disorder was something that never occurred to me until Justin said it to me. And then I was like, of course, this is like everything.
They create a wall of power to protect themselves from fears instead of facing them, and that will drive them to darkness.
The trick was the dance between what you saw on screen and what the characters were describing, but you were showing it, to having these incredible hits and moments of the verse where they all sort of dance together and come just at that moment and overlap each other in a really powerful way.
The text is so integral to Shakespeare, obviously, but it was just through sort of repetition of the text and working with the text and just reading it over and over again, and to try and sort of find the rhythms, and that is the thing about the text. The text will dictate a lot to you if you follow the rhythm of it.
That's why he was so brilliant, that you could give an interpretation of the same play, two things totally different. And I think that Justin's vision is very, very close to humanity.
Not bad. Bit higher.
Have you thought about what animals you want to be if you don't make it?
A lobster.
The first thing that I saw that Yorgos created was Dogtooth, so that, you know, you could already get a sense of his vision and how carefully constructed his universes are.
You know, love and human relationships, romantic relationships, are a very important part of our lives, and it was kind of inevitable to do something about that. It's just the means that you find to do that needs to interest you in some way, and I'm sure it works for some people, and for some other it doesn't. So, I mean, you cannot be certain. You just live with that.
The challenge every day was like, don't get conceptual with it. Just play the stakes at hand, you know, like what these people are obsessed with. The stakes are very high, you know. It's essentially our part of the story is like a prison story, you know.
You're a complete idiot. They'll catch you and put you in a pot of boiling water until you die. And then they'll crack open your claws with a tool, like pliers, and they'll suck out what little flesh you have with their mouths. You're pathetic, both of you.
It's actually very exciting to be in something that is so open and so open to interpretation.
I welcome the mystery, even between myself and the actors. I like to not fully know what they're intending to do, and that allows me to be more clear in my vision. And I think the uncertainty that the actors have, if you don't provide every answer for them, like you don't in real life, that uncertainty infuses their presence with something real.
If you strip away all the kind of affectations that actors would normally kind of accessorize the details with, you strip all that away to a very blank state. And number one, that you really hear the script and the details of what the writing is saying. Number two, you see like the basic essence of that person.
It was hard to achieve, and I'm a little bit proud of that I did manage to do something very romantic. I don't know if the film is any good, but at least that side of it, I managed to do it in a way that I feel comfortable about.
Just your love.
You were right.
Just your beloved.
Music is all I understand.
And my beloved.
I'm at a stage now where I regard myself as retired and only work if it's something I absolutely can't refuse. And this was obviously one of those things. And so one of the criteria I have is how far away from me is this character, and a classical composer and conductor is that. And then what I try to do when I'm actually working on it and filming it is to disappear and become the person. And I was very, very happy with what, because there was nothing of me left in this picture. I understood Paolo, what he was getting at with the old age. I'm not a person like that. I'm hardly apathetic. I'm the completely opposite of what Fred Bellinger was. But I know lots of Fred Bellingers, and I know why they are. He lets you go, and if you get the rehearsal right, he'll print it, you know? But he likes to film the rehearsal, but then he's making up his mind to see what you're going to do really, 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 and whether to say anything. And somehow or other, I must have got it right, because he never stopped me to say anything. He just let me get on with it, you know? And he thought I could hear him laughing sometimes at the things I said, you know? You've now got these brilliant guys who write brilliantly and direct brilliantly. And I'd just done 6 pictures with Chris Nolan, who writes and directs brilliantly. And now I'm doing a picture here with another guy who writes and directs brilliantly. And it's so interesting, because the older directors, you know, you either had a great screenwriter and a great director. You never wrote your own screenplays. I was stunned. I thought it was fabulous. I sat there. I've seen it twice now. I don't mind seeing it again. Usually I go, I don't want to sit through the movie. When in the premiere, I go and have lunch, dinner with my wife, and I come back and go on stage at the end. No, I wanted to sit through this one again. I'd already seen it.